This is Dan Jones. I'm coming back at you Tuesday, February 2013. And I figured I would call this video, and you wonder why. And you wonder why they laugh at us. You wonder why no one gives a damn. You wonder why they have not done anything except destabilize our black society. Because we constantly look to the hills for help when it's not coming. And I mean them good white folks. Now, we have our illustrious leader, one Jesse Jackson, on national news asking for Barack Obama, our black president, to send Homeland Security, who has exactly no authorization, not covered under the Constitution, to come into Chicago and police the streets, which is not going to happen. There is no Homeland Security police, I'm sorry to tell you. It's not going to happen. Now, these animals, and that's what I'm going to call them, for all intents and purposes, because they've reduced themselves to animal-like behavior, are killing people left and right in Chicago. The Chicago Police Department is underfunded, understaffed. Just announced that they will no longer respond to property crimes, which oftentimes leads to person crimes, rape, assaults, murder. They're not going to respond to property crimes anymore because they're prioritizing the calls that they can respond to, which basically gives carte blanche to these thugs and wild Negroes up there to basically do what they want to do, which they're doing anyway. Now, you have the world in such an uproar because of poor 15-year-old Hadaya Pendleton, rest in peace to that sister, who was murdered in the streets of Chicago, right around the corner from Obama's old home in Hyde Park. And other than giving a paltry statement through Jay Carney, his White House spokesman, Obama has said absolutely positively nothing. But what do you expect? You know, you Negroes in Chicago really are embarrassing our first black president with your behavior. You really are embarrassing him, man. I mean, it's really, and in retrospect, I've done a lot of videos not condemning Barack Obama, but, basically, questioning why he never said anything. Because you are an embarrassment. You are an embarrassment to the United States of America. First off, it's kind of like a family sending someone to an important position. And instead of letting a family member embarrass that person that's in a high position, we check our own family members before someone says, he comes from that family. Now, here we are, a black leader, Jesse Jackson, who lives in Chicago, whose Rainbow Coalition is in Chicago, yet we're asking the good old white folks to come in and solve our problems. Forget about rethinking a viable strategy that can work. What he wants is good old white folks come stand from the hills with their M16s and start killing Negroes on the streets. What you want is the National Guard to come on in with their M16 and start killing Negroes in the streets. Let's not forget the innocent Negroes that they're going to kill in the process, because who do you think the National Guard is composed of? Who do you think Homeland Security is composed of? It's comprised of mainly white folks that don't live in that area, that see all Negroes as targets. And it is what it is. You can't say it's not. But, here we go again. I saw an interview with Reverend Al Sharpton on his NBC or CNBC show or whatever it is, interviewing the mother of Hidea Pendleton, and rest in peace to that sister once again, interviewing her mother, I think her name is Cleopatra, interviewing her, talked about everything in his interview and his dialogue after she went off air, talked about everything except fixing the black family. Everything. Because if you talk about fixing the black family, it goes against everything that President Barack Obama stands for. Because think about it. Birth control, abortion, gay rights, a gamut of things. Talk about everything except how to keep black families together. Talk about everything except how to structure black families together. But let me go to this point. Every president always pledges commitment to Israel, even Barack Obama. Didn't pledge commitment to restoring families in America, though, but pledged commitment to Israel, who, in turn, all they think about is keeping families together in Israel. West Bank settlers in the E1 settlement don't have jobs, basically on welfare every month, but guess what? They're on welfare. They are on welfare as a family unit. Father, wife, kid in the same home, getting monthly supplement from the Israeli government, which is unfunded by the United States government. And this is what our president is committed to continuing to support, because he has to. And you know what? I don't see anything wrong with it. But here we go again. Our black leadership, it's guns. Let me tell you something. Guns will always be in the hands of criminals. Guns will always be on the streets as long as we keep letting our government bring drugs into the United States of America. Why do you think we're in Afghanistan right now? The Taliban eliminated 90% of the poppy crops before we went over there under this so-called invasion war on terrorism, which is bullshit. Now, 97% of the poppy trade is out of Afghanistan. And British and United States troops are protected from the poppy fields. Guns, drugs, hand in hand. But see, nobody wants to talk about that because that's too much like the truth. And these idiots, and I call them idiots because that's what they are sitting up here talking about gun control in Chicago. Who has the strictest gun laws, some of the strictest gun laws in these free United States of America. But they got a lot of drugs too. But see, nobody wants to talk about Operation Fast and Furious when Eric Holder under President Barack Obama let guns walk freely into Mexico. And where does the drugs come from also? Mexico. So if Mexico is exporting all these drugs into the United States, we're letting guns walk into Mexico. What do you think is walking back into the United States with these drugs? Guns! But nobody wants to talk about that. That's just my rant for today. And you see why they laugh at us. Oh, Lord, come save us. Oh, Jesus, Lord, help not to take these chains off me. Instead of helping yourself. God help those who help themselves. Good luck, Chicago. I will move out.